Welcome to the Wealth Tank Podcast, passive investing for veterans. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and motivate you to reach your goals of wealth and freedom. I'm Tom Groves, and with me today is my co-host, Noah Walton, to introduce our guest.
Thank you, Tom. Today's guest is Trevor Thompson. If you've been around the multifamily investing community for more than a day, you've probably seen his face online or probably at a live conference somewhere. He is truly a networking machine, a relationship builder, and a skilled asset manager. And I must say, having known him those last 3 years, also a fellow heavy metal enthusiast. Both love some good music there. But I've had the pleasure of getting to know Trevor over these last 3 years, and I really love his story. And thanks again for joining us today, Trevor.
Yeah, no, it's an honor to be here. And I want to start out for saying thanks for everybody for their service. It's definitely, we wouldn't be where we are today without the men and women serving our country. So.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I know, tell us a little bit about, where you located? What do you do now? And the story that, what was your story? What brought you to where you are now?
Yeah, so I have a unique background, probably your most unique guest. So originally from Niagara Falls, Canada, spent most of my life in the tourism and attractions industry. So 5 years with Ripley's, believe it or not, starting at age 13, if you can imagine. I did 18 years with Guinness World Records, including running one in New York in the Empire State Building, opened a franchise in Hollywood, California, on Hollywood Boulevard there. And then I wanted to move to Orlando to open up Guinness World Records, and that deal fell through. So strangely enough, I opened a year-round haunted house. And then I went over to iFly Indoor Skydiving, and ironically, at our very first team meeting, the owner gave everybody a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Awesome.
The purple Bible that started many, but to my regret, I put it on the shelf. I didn't do it. I kept living my life, doing my 9-to-5 job. And it was, I didn't do it.
Wow. Yeah, you didn't know what type of gold you got for free there, right?
Yeah. And then I started, the same thing again, I did nothing. And then I finally, all of a sudden, we got bought out by a private equity. And first of all, I was always afraid of toilets, tenants, and trash. Same thing everyone's afraid of. And then secondly, okay, I got no time, I got no money. And then when we got bought out, the no money excuse went away. So I started doing those weekend, the weekend road shows, where give us $50,000 and we'll tell you how to buy an office building with no money down with your credit card. I went, it doesn't quite sound too realistic. Started looking around, finally found multifamily syndication. And I went, wow, the light bulb came on. So what you're telling me is I find experienced people, I invest in their business. They're buying a real asset. They have a business plan to improve the value of that asset. And then they sell it for more money and I make money. The light bulbs just came on. And since then, I've passively invested in 20 syndications. 7 of them have gone full cycle, not all multifamily. And then I've switched over to the active side. I got let go during COVID along with a lot of other people. But I was already kind of considering it, and it just pushed me over the edge. So,
But that was kind of the spark that really, COVID. I think it's cool because a lot of people complain about COVID, and COVID is a horrible thing, but it presented a lot of opportunities.
I would not be where I am today without it. And why I say that is the whole world went online, and I met so many people, from all over the United States, all over the world on these various meetups. And I became obsessed with, connecting with people. And, I was doing 2, sometimes 3 meetups a night online, and just connecting and saying, I'm in Texas, you need boots on the ground in Texas, here I am. And it just it did definitely open the doors. It created some other things, but it certainly opened the door for me a lot quicker. And it allowed me to get connected with people and assemble a team or at least the possibilities of being on teams. So I know I've walked a couple of properties for Noel while he was traveling, just because I'm close to where he's got some investments. And in fact, we met in person. It was hilarious. They booked us both at the same time for a tour, and it's like, oh, hi there,
Worked out well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
was basically, hey, let's try to take this one down together, because real estate is a team sport.
Yes, it
And
is.
I actually think that one would have been a great one if we'd have got it, but we didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a small world. And like same experience for us. Our team was born through the whole COVID lockdown experience. And that's how at the time that our team was formed. And same thing. It was just networking online, Zoom constantly. And we probably first met, I would guess, on probably one of those meetups on Zoom.
We did.
That's
Very
cool. Yeah, great opportunities. So I know, Trevor, it's really cool that, you kind of shared your story, kind of what made you, your experience growing up in Canada. And if anybody hasn't been to Canada, on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, that's where all the fun houses are at, the haunted houses. So that was kind of, as a guessing man, I imagine that's what kind of put it into your blood, growing up in that atmosphere. And then you took that on, and then you just kept growing and growing and growing from there, which is just awesome. So, you kind of answered that, like what kind of made you who you are. But right now, if you could answer a question, what are you doing right now? And you alluded to it a little bit, but how did you really start? What really got you started beside just the COVID shutdown? But what are you doing right now? And how did you get your feet moving forward?
Yeah, so it was really, I always wanted to do it. And it was the removal of that one excuse, my limiting belief that I didn't have the money. So I got the money. So I decided, okay, I can't blow it now. I finally got a payday. I need to move forward. And then, but it really wasn't until I understood more about what I was actually investing in and the power of the combination of leverage, right? I remember reading it in Robert's book, and then, the tax benefits and all of those things, I kind of knew them. But when I actually just took the time to learn them and just understand that I personally, as a person, I had a busy job. I'm like, I can't do these things. I travel a lot, I go away, and I'm sure a lot of your military people, right? They get deployed, they go here, they get moved. And it's this concept of, okay, you can do it with a group of people, or you can invest passively with a group of people. And when you invest passively, you do have none of these responsibilities. And so I started out, I was fully just going to passive invest. I knew I'd switch eventually, but it wasn't until losing my job I decided that, okay, that was a deciding factor for me in my life. But it was really understanding the whole business plan. It was something I knew that, and I did the same business plan when I worked for iFly Indoor Skydiving. We took over franchise locations. I call them mom and pa operators. They didn't have systems. They had spent all their money. They, didn't have, so we went in there with budget to fix the properties. We went in with marketing know-how, systems and procedures. And again, we grew, we called it NOI, we called it EBITDA, earnings before depreciation, interest, and taxes. Apartments call it NOI, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Very
Noel,
nice.
I know you got a couple of questions that you wanted to throw at him too.
Yeah, for sure. And now that you've gotten into this business, what about it is the most exciting thing that, really gets you motivated to wake up in the morning and jump into this? What is it that, I know you probably really enjoyed what you were doing before, working with iFly, and looking back, at the time, it was probably a pretty scary feeling, like, hey, I'm being let go from this position. It's been a great job, but that also presented an opportunity for you.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother lesson in itself. But, now that you have made that transition, tell us more about how that is for you, and how, what drives you now in this business.
Yeah. So it definitely, what drives me is taking communities and improving them. So taking properties that aren't well managed, aren't taken care of, making sure that they're better places for people to live. We all know we're in a housing crisis. And so this ability to be able to make better housing for people or create new housing. I've also was really big on trying to create a place where the people that work there could also feel fulfilled, right? Like they were there to serve their tenants. I come from a hospitality background, and trying to put that customer focused view into relating to our tenants. And then of course, the most powerful thing is that we take investor money, we put it into this deal, we grow it in the most tax efficient possible way for them. And then they get to go live their why. And their why can be anything, right? It can be sending kids to college, it can be retiring, it can be whatever. So we're circulating this circle of why, right? So we're making the world a better place, and we're circulating our, somewhat of a mission to make it better for people.
Yeah,
But
that's
the
great.
power in it is the, is being able to, I set a goal that 1,000 people would reach financial independence through my influence. Doesn't mean investing in my deals, but I set this goal that I would touch someone. I didn't get touched, right? I had a thick head, I guess, and people kept giving me messages, but it wasn't until I actually got this moment, and then all of a sudden a light bulb came on. And like I said, I went from never investing in real estate to investing in 20 syndications, and I'm a GP on 3 now on top of that. So clearly went all in pretty quickly. But it was just being able to do that for someone so that they can. I waited till I was 55 to start. And if I'd have started at 25, my life would be totally different. Totally different.
Yeah, definitely. But it's great that, like you said, the best time to invest is now. You can't do anything about the past, and just jump in there and go.
The perfect day will never arise.
Yes, that's right.
It's so true.
Nice. And then, as you look, of all the different opportunities out there, what about this particular passive income investing strategy stood out to you, and why you chose to pursue it?
Again, it was being able to leverage people that were experienced, right? That was kind of, again, I didn't understand that. I thought I would have to do everything, right? I thought that I would be responsible. And at the end of the day, my responsibilities are vetting the person is putting out the deal, looking at the deal with my limited knowledge, based knowledge, separating the truth from reality and saying, okay, this is a good investment. I'm going to put my hard-earned money into this particular investment. So that's obviously one side of it. And then when you switch to the active side of it, now this huge responsibility. I am responsible for creating financial independence for, dozens of people and eventually hundreds of people. Very big responsibility. So I want to make sure that I'm providing education for people to understand how they can pick a good sponsor and be able to invest with them. Because I'm going to be truthful, not all of my investments have been with people I would invest with again, right? They all were super great when I first started, and then some of them poor information, poor communication, and so you got to be careful and really learn and try to get with people that we call it know, like, and trust, but it's super important. And then you want to make sure you have some level of education. But I find out every day how little I really know, because I learn something new every day.
Yeah.
That's the truth. We're never, in this business, no matter what we do in our lives, we're never going to know it all.
Yeah.
And just as you were saying earlier, to find that perfect day to invest, it will never arrive. You've got to do your homework. And so
then one thing on the power too, that I had no idea how strong the community was. Even though we were competing when we first met in person on a property, there wasn't like, what's he doing there? It was this, how could we work together? How could we do things? Real estate syndication is truly a team sport, and it takes all of the players, all of the positions, everything to be aligned, right? And so it was super important, because again, when you're looking at deals, first of all, you want people that are experienced. You want people that live within the market, or at least understand and frequently go to the market or have other deals. There's all these things you need to look at. And to be able to tick all of the boxes, you need a team. And so and that's been my other thing. Like, I had no idea how many people would like so much impact my life and me impact their lives, because now we're partners.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, you never know. So
And, and it's,
you
I gotta
chatted.
say, it really struck home. I wanted to go to a real estate conference and I couldn't go. I had a hip replacement. I couldn't go. And my team put my picture on a stick and brought me to the conference and kept having
That's
photos.
great.
Everybody, it was called the Trevor stick. And they would, and I'll tell you, I almost cried. Like it was so like, these people know how disappointed I was, because I like to go to these conferences. And when you think about teammates doing things like that for you, going that extra mile, and then other people, posing with my head on a stick. I mean, it's really kind of goofy if you think about it, but saying, because again, I connect with a lot of people. So it was just that whole piece of it. It's a family.
It is. It's great.
And I think that would speak a lot to your base too, right? Because military folks clearly are a family, clearly are a community. iFly, when I worked for iFly, we were a community. We were people devoted to delivering the dream of flight, right? It was very, very, and you don't find that in many things, right? You don't find that in many environments, but you definitely find it within the real estate realm, that these are people that care about their teammates, that do the proper things for their teammates, cover them. And, and you're all just executing this plan. You're executing the plan to give good returns to your investors. And yes, you make money as a sponsor along the side, but I know most of the people I know put their investors first all the time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
So when you do a vetting for a team, when you started out and you were asking, into the 27 syndications as a passive investor, what are some key things that you did to kind of vet those teams? I mean, you talked about teamwork, how they work out together and everything else like that, but not knowing what you know now, put yourselves in the shoes of our listener that you are starting out, you've never invested into a property, or maybe you have one or two, but you wanting to grow and go with a different team. What are some things that you would do?
Yeah, so definitely when I'm looking for someone who's a sponsor, first of all, I'm looking for people that are providing value in education. That's super important to me. They're not just saying, give me your money, you're going to make a lot of money. They're providing all of the information, all of the things that you need to do. So I start when I'm looking to invest in a property or invest with a group, I spend a lot of time getting to know the people in the group, asking other people about the group. I don't ever ask the sponsor, because they're only going to tell me people that know, that like them, right? And I'm going to give them a good thing to do.
Not one-sided at all.
Yeah. And so it's super important that that you get that information out there. And then secondly, I want to talk to people that are open and honest about things that went wrong. Like, my best investment to date was with a guy who talked about a deal that didn't go well. And you could see the pain in his face, and that he took no money to make sure investors could get paid their things. And I thought, that's the kind of guy I want to invest with. And so I look for the person first, then I look for the asset class second. Okay, so I call it the jockey first and then the horse second. And then I'm mostly Texas investment, but also the track. And so, for example, I spent a year getting to know somebody. I looked at 4 deals and passed on all of their deals because it just didn't fit all of my little boxes. But I wanted to get in storage. And here it was, this sponsor, a new build storage in North Carolina, Charlotte area. And I wanted to be in the Carolinas. I wanted to get in storage, and I wanted to do a deal with this investor. And it's the triple, right? The trifecta. And, within 12 hours, I was done and sent my money in because I'd already done my homework. It was easy. Now, they've sent me 3 deals since, and I haven't invested because they didn't fit my little box of what I was looking for. Because never be afraid to pass on a deal. There's another one coming.
Yeah, never, they call it FOMO,
Yeah.
the fear of missing out. And those are
And,
some good
and
lessons.
part of that was I
to
wanted to be
share.
diversified, right? So I'm very heavy in Texas, but I'm also everything from land entitlement to new build to, class A, mostly value add, class C development, have something in Arizona and North and South Carolina, because they all fit my little box of, high growth rate states with business friendly laws and landlord friendly laws.
Yeah, good stuff. Those are great criteria, absolutely. And and it goes to show you, I mean, you're a good example, showing some great lessons of what people, things people need to think about as they're considering investing passively. So we really appreciate that. That's great value. So going on to the next question here I've got for you, Trevor, is this one's a little outside the box, but if you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it that would reach millions or billions of people, what would it say and why?
So I'm going to cheat and pick two, because there's two things I say over and over again. So we already talked about the one, right? Don't wait to buy real estate and wait. But there's another one that's equally as powerful. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die, the great Warren Buffett. So passive investing in real estate is different, right? When I worked at my job, my time, my energy provided the income, but my money never worked for me. So when I invest in real estate, my money now is working for me. I'm not working for my money as a passive investor. So I got to say two, sorry, but I think they're both super powerful. And, either one can be on a billboard and would change America like incredible if people could grasp this concepts.
Yeah.
If we would
absolutely.
teach the concepts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
for sure.
so many people, I mean, you who are listening right now is that, Trevor mentioned he owns properties in several different states. You have the opportunity to own as a limited investor, or even eventually as a general partner, you have the opportunity to own in several different states, something you may have never thought of possible. But there's so much opportunity out there. And again, that fear of missing out, the FOMO, there's always good deals. There is no end to real estate and opportunity. And educate yourself and continue to grow and learn, and you'll be pleased. So, you chatted about a couple quotes, and you chatted about, which I think are awesome. And, if you had that billboard in Times Square, what it would say, and the millions of people that you'd be able to reach. Just kind of another thing on top of that, want to talk about failure really quick. And you shared an experience with one of the teams you invested with, how, we call them lessons learned, but they're failures. What failure that have you experienced that kind of sets you up later for success? And do you have a favorite, I guess, lesson learned or a favorite failure that you can refer to that you could share with some people?
Yeah, so definitely, I guess most of my failures come from not asking sort of clarifying questions, right? And understanding, so for example, I asked, hey, I assume we're all well insured. And the answer was, yeah, we've got insurance, the lenders approved it. Well, it turns out they had a fire and they're not well insured. They had insurance based on the value of the purchase price, not on the value of the rebuild price. Who'd have ever thought I needed to ask that very basic question? Yeah. But I'm in a situation where I'm going to, for the first time ever, lose some of my capital in a deal because of that situation. You just never would have thought of that. And what I hope is that sponsor will start educating on that topic. That will be nothing more impressive than if I could lose my money and 100 people could not lose their money because of that lesson. That's what I want to make sure that people understand. Just understanding that little basic lesson. It's just a little basic lesson. We all know that the world's gone crazy and interest rates have gone up. So I remember asking, did you buy a cap rate? Yes, we bought a cap rate. What I didn't ask was, is your underwriting paying out to the top of that cap rate? Turns out it wasn't. Got a cash call. Cash calls only to buy a new cap rate, but I never thought, to ask those sort of things. So again, I'm going to talk about those things because I want people to learn, right? To be able to not make my mistakes or someone else's mistakes. It's very important.
Absolutely.
You want to look for people that are honest, because at the end of the day, honest people are always going to do you right.
Absolutely. And Trevor, let me stop you real quick there. It's just a quick lesson, for the listener that may not know. You're talking about the cap rate, and I know what you're referring to, but so that's not confused with a capitalization rate that we talk about in real estate. But now as what we're seeing with higher interest rates, and people are sometimes going into using bridge debt, which is variable rate, and which is what you're talking about these operators had in place. They had to pay a certain amount extra to have a cap put on the amount, or basically not allowing the interest rate to increase above a certain point, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So
it's like an insurance, really. It's the easiest way to describe it. You bought insurance to cover you in case your expenses went up.
Yeah. No, that's good. I just want to use that as a quick educational moment too. So anybody listening, that is getting more advanced topics into the lending atmosphere, what's out there right now, especially with the interest rates and all of that is a very common product that people operators will put on their deals to help ensure that interest rates don't go up to a certain point. So what you're saying makes sense, is underwrite it at that highest interest rate. And if the numbers make sense there, you'll be okay. But that's a huge lesson. Wow.
And you now have questions that you can write down as a listener, that you can write down, that you can bring to that operator that you're working with in the future. Specifically ask them these questions.
And if they won't answer, there's plenty of other investments out there that the sponsor will answer your questions. If you do not get an answer, move on. Move on. You want people that are going to give you their best information.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, now, so this takes me to the next question is, this is kind of going into life and growth as a whole, but in, say, the last 5 years, just general time frame, is there a new belief or behavior or habit that you've adopted that has made a huge improvement in your life? And what is that?
So I think it's I always fairly purposeful, right? And, my former job, we believed in delivering the dream of flight, right? We had this big moment and we did a lot of things with it where, we had all abilities night, we're handy, all these things. And I started to wonder, what can I get in this space? And we did touch about it earlier, but it's the ability to be able to give someone a vehicle where they can make money while they sleep. They can pass on the responsibilities, and they're going to be financially secure by making these decisions. Now, it's going to take a while to reach financial freedom, right? Financial freedom, and it's a different number for everybody, and it just gives you options in life, right? But if you look at what's happening all across forever, right? Everybody spends everything they earn. They don't save anything. Their money's never earning them money. So I think just the sheer satisfaction to be able to create vehicles and to create a message like your platform, letting me reach people. And if my goal is, if we touch one person today and they change the trajectory of their life and they come out of the military with a plan and they know what they're going to do and they have taken some of their income and made it work for them, their money work for them, it was well worth whatever time we spent here talking. And to me, that is the biggest change in my life, that I never had any. I could make you happy, I could make you have a good time, but now I can make you be able to become financially secure. It's incredible, and it's a big responsibility.
That's great.
Very cool. So
Awesome.
now through that, now speaking directly to our transitioning military member, how many ever years they've had in, you not being in the military, but you've transitioned from career to career. And that's exactly what these guys are doing. At times during those transitions, you can be a lot of fear can set in. You can be a bit overwhelmed dealing with family situations. It can be difficult. So when when you feel overwhelmed or unfocused or have lost focus temporarily, what do you do at those times that you could share with our transitioning military member?
Yeah, so I think again, it's finding a new team. Like again, I had a team at iFly. I had people. The military clearly has a team. They have a community. They have a family. And what they need to do is they need to connect in, whether it's at their local area, whatever level it is, they need to connect with. And I don't want to call it a support group because it's kind of not really designed as a support group, but it kind of is a support group where you have other people that are thinking the same as you, and you connect and meet with them. And then people that come out of the military come out with such valuable skills to what we're doing, right, in terms of systems and making, you guys are just experts at executing a plan, right? Because that's all they teach you is how here you're going to do this and you're going to go execute a plan. And if Y happens, this is what we do. And if X happens, this is what we do. And if you think about it, those skills are so transferable into what we're doing, right? Because when you buy an apartment complex that's, a deep value add, the plan changes regularly. And you need to be able to adapt, and you need to be able to use those skills that you got in your former life. And again, I got those skills through operating small businesses, opening businesses, buying some franchises back and redoing them. And it may not seem they're relatable, but they definitely are. And you definitely need to connect up with other people and find where you fit best into that plan. And I think that's the biggest thing they can do, because real estate is a team sport, and we all know that. And teams, they change and life evolves. And I grew this team and now I'm on that team and I'm changing the plan, and I'm, but that's okay too, right? Because that happens all through your military career, all through my business career, right? People came and went, but at the end of the day, having a strong partners is, first of all, finding strong people to invest in. And then when you're going to switch to active, strong partners that have the same values that you have.
Yeah,
Awesome.
That's good stuff. Well, Trevor, this has been a phenomenal time to sit here and discuss and then hear your story and really dig into your why and what you love about it. And you brought so much value to our listeners. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. As we wrap this up, how can our listener contact you or get involved with you directly?
Yeah, so the easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn. You just got to remember the K at the beginning of my name, K Trevor Thompson, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I do have a YouTube channel too, with same names, K Trevor Thompson, and I produce and set up a lot of educational material, gets posted up there to help people learn. I'm super active in those areas. And then once you start, if you don't find me, you're not networking.
Yeah. Oh, that's 100% true.
Because I'm pretty active.
Well, thank you so much again. We really appreciate it.
And that was my pleasure. And thanks to your audience again for their service.
Yeah, and thanks for taking time, really, to everybody. Thanks for taking time to listen to the Wealth Tank podcast. And to learn more about investing in multifamily real estate with J-Core, download our free passive investing guide on our website, www.jcoreinvestments.com. And be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
And if you'd like access to our deals, feel free to join our investor club. It's absolutely free. And we'll personally connect with you, determine if you're qualified to invest, and if we're a good fit together. If you found value from this podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review and share with a friend. And I'll leave you today with this. Fly Army.